You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Cricket Podcast. I am Maxwell Brown and today I'm joined by Dan Weston to talk about the game of cricket we all just saw that perhaps left a little to be desired after what looked like a fairly exciting start. Dan, first of all, how are you doing? A good win for your boys. Where's the bandana / face mask?
Oh, it's in the wash.
Ah.
Can't do much about that. Yeah, good win for my boys. 7-4 now after 11 games. So on the verge of guaranteeing qualification. So I'm delighted about that.
Yeah, and with the teams all below, sort of muddling around on a similar number of points as possible. You know, seven might even be enough for you. Although the net run rate might have something to say about that. But
the best.
Yeah. Just before we get started, the usual messages for our listeners. Please do like and subscribe. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Cricket Pod, and check out Woodstock Cricket if you want to show as much of a transformation in your cricketing game as Harshal Patel has shown this year, because I can think of no other reason than Woodstock Cricket being the reason that he's suddenly started taking all of the wickets in the world. And follow Dan at SA Advantage on Twitter. We'll get that one up first. Normally we wait till the end before we get people to follow you. But let's throw you in there first, because you're pretty much part of the gang now, aren't you? We just drag you along whenever the two people aren't around.
Yeah, all good. All good, appreciate that. Yeah, SA Advantage on Twitter, follow. I'm on the road to 5k.
Right, you're on the road to 5k. We're on the road to 10k on YouTube. Please do help us with that. And let's get into it, shall we? So yes, RCB versus Rajasthan Royals. Royal Challengers Bangalore versus Rajasthan Royals. The Royal Derby, you could dub it perhaps. And Virat Kohli won a toss. So maybe he should consider not giving up captaincy of T20 quite so soon. He stuck the Rajasthan Royals into bat, and it looked at that time that it might not have been a great decision, because Evan Lewis and his partner in crime, Yashasvi Jaiswal, decided to take the opening bowlers to the cleaners and absolutely spanked the ball all over the place. The pitch looked good, pretty quick, ball coming on nicely, and we were looking set for a pretty decent total. But the problem was, I think, I've decided now that Harshal Patel got a bit of tap in the first few overs, and he's the wrong person to go after. Because obviously he's running off some like voodoo magic at the moment. He's got some sort of sorcery going on, some black magic, and he decided that he was going to turn that back on the Rajasthan Royals and convince that batsmen 3 through 6, 7, the rest of them basically, to just have a total meltdown and completely implode, which is what happened, and left just enough time for Harshal Patel to take 3 wickets in the last over to further his cause for the purple cap in one of the great sporting turn-ups. In reply, RCB, was pretty simple, really. Kohli and Padikkal got off to a pretty decent start. Kohli actually played some reasonably attacking shots in the power play, but those two fell. And you thought that at that time the scores weren't too far off. If you consider the fact that Rajasthan started a bit quicker and then fell off towards the end. But KS Bharat, who came in to plug the gap at number 3, actually batted really well and looked like he might be a fixture. And Glenn Maxwell, he did Glenn Maxwell, didn't he? And just decided to take matters into his own hands. Completely took the game away from Rajasthan Royals, who looked pretty bereft of ideas, throwing down pies from Suatia and Lomraw in the middle overs. Some wondering whether maybe they could have played the actual spinner that they brought in, who's really good, but guess not. And I'd like to thank Glenn Maxwell and A.B. de Villiers as well for his 4 off 1 ball, for sparing us 3 overs of torturous cricket where RCB plodded along to the win. They did it in style. They did it with 3 overs to spare. a 7-wicket win, and that'll probably do some good for their net run rate as well, because that was looking a little iffy before today. But as it is, they ran away clear winners and consolidated their place in the playoff spots. So, I mean, Dan, you must be delighted with the way your boys performed today.
Yeah. Buzzing. Comprehensive victory with 19 balls. No, not 19 balls. 17 balls to spare. So yeah, absolutely delighted with that. Good win, especially after pegging them back from 77 for no wicket just after 8 overs with that amazing start. So that's probably where we need to go to first, isn't it? That implosion from Rajasthan.
Yeah, I think so. You know, Evan Lewis was excellent today. I think it was 58 off 37. He was, and at one point, all of his boundaries were sixes. The commentator on the IPL, the IPL commentary seemed to forget that a 6 is a kind of boundary, as they at one point said that he'd hit more sixes than boundaries, which obviously, as anyone who has any understanding of logic will know, that is impossible. But
that wasn't the worst piece of commentary today, so we'll talk about that later. As well.
Yes, absolutely. I've just dropped my mic. Sorry. Absolutely, we will. There we go. There's our problems for today on the technology front. A great start from the Royals, but yeah, I mean, let's get straight into the collapse, shall we? Because you know, we there's not too much to talk about in terms of two openers hitting lots of sixes. They did it. They batted well. It was what we like to see. Some intent up the top in the power play. It's what we're always pushing for. But after that point, Samson was okay in his 19. And then we had Lomraw running down the wicket at Uzi for 3. Liam Livingstone failing to clear the ropes and scoring 6. Tuatia aiming for a fielder, apparently, with his 2. Ryan Parag with just a very, very painful 9 off 16 balls. And leaving rather too much to do for Chris Morris and the bowlers as they petered into a pretty disappointing total. What happened, Dan? Tell me, can you explain it?
Yeah, a bit some weird stuff that happened. Weird decisions as well. I think that's important. Usually when there's disaster occurring, there's some blame to be levelled somewhere. And I'd like to know, I'd like to meet the person and have a conversation with the person who thinks that after 11 overs, it's better to put Mahapol Lomraw in than Liam Livingstone.
Yeah, I found that very odd. You got a good part, you got a good platform, a really good platform, and you're looking to kick on. You want someone who's going to come in and has a proven record of smacking the ball around and take you on, and someone who can do it off all types of bowling as well.
And there's at a point in time, there's 1 ball less than 9 overs, so we've got 53 balls left. Liam Livingstone faces 26, 27 balls, half of that. He'll score 50. So why would you constrain the impact of someone who can do that? When we're the best one in the world at this point in time, Lomraw's not the guy who can do that.
I suppose the only thing I can think of is really that, Liam Livingstone's obviously proven himself in the Blast and the 100. Not yet done it in the IPL, and maybe his team don't have the confidence in him that he is the man to do that.
Lomraw proven himself?
Well, I don't know. No, I can't answer that one, I'm afraid. But I'm trying to scratch for some reasoning here. It's not always easy with these.
Teams don't have a clue. The only argument they can possibly wish to say is that they wanted like some left-right combo or something like that. But this stuff is so it is useful. It is beneficial, but you don't constrain yourself stupidly by doing that. That's the important thing.
It's the margin you might gain from, let's say, a left-right combo over putting in your better player with the right amount of time to go in the game is that's it. It's you're just trying to look for the 1%ers when really you just want to look for the bankers, don't you? But even then, like you're talking about the left-right combo, they're pretty much all left-handers, aren't they? the Rajasthan team.
Football, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little stacked, I think, from that front.
That was the interesting thing is that like, RCB went early with Maxwell, which is actually a really good strategy, but it didn't work. I think it worked for 13 in his first over.
Yeah,
it didn't work, and that's okay because actually it was a really good idea. It was. And I'm surprised that more teams haven't gone with the offie against Lewis and Jaiswal so far. But sometimes good ideas don't work, and that's fine. But we're playing the percentages here, and maybe 70% of the time it works, 30% of the time it doesn't work, or something like that. And you've got to be okay with that. You've got to rationalise that in advance. Say, well, that was the right decision taken with the maximum information that we had at that point in time, and we could be good with it. So, yeah, no issues with Maxwell going for 13 there with the matchup. Good matchups can get hit. Does happen.
So, what about George Garton then? Because I think it's sort of on a related topic. Someone asked us at the very start when he was announced to play that he was coming in for RCB and what we thought about that. My initial thought was going back to this sort of top 5 or 6, which is stacked with left-handers, and whether George Garton was a kind of pick from that front.
Well, I like George Garton a lot. I think he's an excellent young player, someone who's a three-dimensional player. Batting's improved. His bowling has got a lot better as well. Power play and death mostly, although he doesn't bowl a lot of death at Sussex because he's in a team with Chris Jordan and Tyler Mills. But he's very, very good, and his fielding is excellent as well. So he's a three-dimensional player. Now, Garton's record against left-handers is very, very good. So from 2020 onwards, he averages just under 13 against left-handers, just over 10 balls per wicket, and an economy of 7.6. Yeah, unbelievable numbers. So you can understand why that was a strategy play by RCB. And I actually, I know we sometimes we criticise them in some ways. I don't think they get everything right, but RCB do seem to, with that Maxwell play as well, they do seem to be getting a lot of these strategy decisions right that they weren't getting right before. So props to them. I like Garton. I definitely think actually he's probably an upgrade on Kyle Jamieson, to be honest with you. Just generally, even disregarding the left-right matchups and stuff. The thing with RCB is I'm still not sure about their fourth overseas or the fourth overseas generally. Dan Christian, to me, doesn't offer a lot at this level. And I'd probably just go with Tim David and not bowl Christian.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. Yeah, but when the rest of your team does the business, I suppose it doesn't matter too much. When the team in front of you is completely disintegrating, it doesn't really matter who your fourth bowler or fifth bowler is. It is
at IPL level, or any level, IPL as well. You don't need to be perfect. You just have to make less mistakes than the other teams, and the other teams are going to make a lot of mistakes. So if you can make half the mistakes of the other team, and you've got a decent squad as well, chances are you can do all right.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Liam Livingstone then, because obviously we've seen him over the summer smoke the ball all over the park in internationals and in the English domestic scene. He's not done it so far in the IPL. I mean, well, what are you putting that down to? Is it just the lumpiness of random distributions where he's just going through a lean spell and it'll come back, or is there something more intrinsic, do you think, going on that's a problem?
There's definitely an element of that, I think, Max, like that variance that we spoke about. I think I spoke about in the last pod I did with about Glenn Maxwell. This stuff happens to batters. Like they go through, especially the attacking ones, they have high boundary percentages. They will go through like lean trots every so often. Now, I don't think it's helped as well the fact that he's having quite variable roles at Rajasthan in the second half of the IPL. I think he's batted at 4. He's then opened and then he's gone down to 5 and stuff like that. And I think he should be better off just saying, right, you're our man at 3 or 4, depending on the match circumstance, and go from there. I think that would be much more suitable to him. It's just having that backing and having any player, they all want backing, and they want backing in a certain fixed position. So you're our man, you're the guy who we recruited, play brave, play fearless, take the positive option. And if you fail, you get out caught on the boundary, trying to hit a 6, and it's your matchup, then that's okay. Well, you're not going to get dropped for that because that's a positive option. So giving the players that kind of environment to thrive rather than feel under pressure or being moved around the order and stuff all the time, I think it's it's a strange one, but no, I think there's a lot of variance involved in it as well.
I think also with the with the Lomraw aspect today, we were sort of in a situation where RCB had seen that the seamers were getting some treatment, and they brought on the spinners and bowled pretty much just spin and slow bowling for the middle overs, didn't they? And when Dan Christian bowled, he bowled pretty much exclusively slower balls as well, and that taking the pace off, I think. Possibly did for Liam Livingstone, and might be the reason they decided to send Lomraw in ahead of him. I think from what I've seen of Lomraw, I haven't seen a lot, but from what I've seen, he seems to be quite good against the spinners and maybe not so good against the seamers. I think his strike rates back that up slightly. I don't think there's a huge difference, but obviously he's not played a huge number of games, so there's not a huge amount of data to go on that. But the eye test to me suggests that he is comfortable against the slow bowling and less so against the pace. And Liam Livingstone struggling to clear the ropes today with the slow bowling, but it was there to hit, wasn't it? I mean, there was a lot of talk about it being brainless from the Rajasthan players, and 3 in a row basically hit the ball straight to a fielder, which doesn't have a good look about it, does it? When the fielder on the boundary literally doesn't have to move to take the catch in the deep, it doesn't look great. But I mean, where do you stand? Do you think it was poor decision making? Do you think it was poor execution, or should we be giving more credit to RCB and saying actually they bowled really well and had some excellent plans?
I don't think it's poor decision making. I think it's poor execution, and give credit to RCB at the same time. I've got no issue with guys being caught on the boundary if it's their matchup. I think I said that earlier, and I know last week I think Jack spoke about players getting criticised when they get out in unconventional ways or non-acceptable ways. Like if you nick off to the keeper, no one will criticise you, but if you get out stupidly or perceived to be stupid in terms of what would be stupid if it was a test match, basically, then that's a problem, or it's perceived to be a problem, which is a lot of rubbish. Matthew Hayden on commentary was like, I fear for Pakistan if this is their batting coach. Honestly, it's the 17th over, he's got a slot ball, and this is a guy that you've specifically recruited to hit sixes. They should have specifically recruited to hit sixes because he's a bloody good hit six hitter. Right? So, what do you expect him to do? Nerdle it around for one and then tee off in the 20th over? No. This guy is an intent machine. That's his role. He's a brave, positive player. He's hit so many sixes in front of me in the 100. Why wouldn't you back yourself in the 17th over to do that? And they called him. I think they called him brainless and saying he should take it deep and stuff like that. No.
It's already deep.
Already deep. And they were like, oh, he's got nothing else after him. Well, only Chris Morris, who's a great pace hitter. No. It was honestly, if Pakistan have planned under Matthew Hayden as batting coach to nerdle it around in the 17th over and take what's deep, 19th, 20th, last ball, who knows? In his world, anyway. No, absolutely terrible commentary. I've got to say, I couldn't believe it when he said that. Yeah. This is the death overs. This is a death overs. The death overs is when you hit. You know what, right? If you've got a problem with someone doing that in advance, you should call it out before they do it. You can't wait until they get caught out on the rope and then go, "Oh, that was a bad decision."
That's what commentary is all about, Dan. Yeah. Hindsight.
Being right. Yeah. But if he just smashed that in the top tier for six, he'll be like, great shot. What is carrying his team to a big score? You know, no. You have to make these calls in advance, not with the benefit of hindsight.
Yeah, and Akash has pointed out rightly that we perhaps are being a little unfair to Hayden, because we should also point out that KP was on the same nonsense train as he was with the old, preserving your wicket kind of thing. Apparently he was talking about Evan Lewis, a man who was on 58 of 150. Like, preserve your wicket. No, you're in. Keep scoring runs. That's your job. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they completely capitulated, and there was still time though at the end for Harshal Patel to take 3 wickets in the final over, and they are like, they're sort of, if you'd sort of compare it to football, it's like the hat trick you score in the last 10 minutes against Havant and Waterlooville in the FA Cup when they've been run ragged for 75 minutes and just about held to 2-0, and then you just get the goals at the end to put some gloss on the result. I mean, that's
sent up as well, and they've got a right back and goal.
Yeah, yeah. Players playing out of position, obviously, and also helped by Devjit Padikkal taking an absolute screamer of a catch on Chris Morris. We should forget the 9 millionth Vivo perfect catch of the match of the season, because as we all know, every catch is a Vivo perfect catch of the match, as every 6 is an academy cracking 6. Yeah. No one's going to catch him. It's sewn up in it. The purple cap's in the bag. I don't know. I don't know how. Not a hat trick as well the other day.
With the football analogies, Max, I don't know if you heard the podcast we were on. I was on the other day with Jack and Ross, and I think Ross said the Mumbai Indians need to get Sam Allardyce in as head coach until the end of the season, sort it out. And then I ventured to suggest that maybe Harshal Patel is the Michael Ricketts of the season, as in one season wonder.
One season wonder. Andy Johnson, yeah, that kind of thing. Could be, or maybe this is a late, sort of a late renaissance. Maybe he's Jamie Vardy or Mikel Antonio.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's also possible. Those are good analogies as well. We're not allowed to talk about Mikel Antonio because he always scores against Tottenham. To be fair, Vardy does probably as well. But Harshal Patel, I've got a breakdown of his numbers this year because I did this in advance because I was quite interested and make for a good talking point. In the early, middle, and the power play, he's bowled 12 overs and only taken 1 wicket. In the late, middle, and the death, he's bowled 28 overs and taken 25 wickets. So and because of that, I looked at his numbers against top 5 batters compared to the tail, basically, or the lower order. He's only taken 10 wickets against top 5 batters, and the rest, way more than half, are against the lower order. So, yeah, what can I say from that at the moment? He's very good at wrapping up the tail.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should get him in the England team. Sounds like something that we need.
Yeah. Whether he can do it against, like I say, like top quality batters on a consistent basis, not so sure. We'll see.
Yeah, the proof will be in the pudding. One last thing on that innings, and I think it was just to pick up on a question that I saw in the chat. Apologies, I didn't see exactly who asked it, but Mohammed Siraj bowled really well today, I thought, and seems to be kind of making his way in T20 from what I can see. He's bowling pretty quick. He's looking fairly dangerous, sort of compared to what he was doing over the last couple of years, where he's finding his feet. Do you think that's fair? Has he found his way?
I don't mind Siraj. Yeah, just a bit of a weird one how he didn't get bowled out.
Yeah. That's a good point. I forgot that. I forgot he didn't get his 4 overs. But Harshal Patel, that's why. Always go with Harshal in the last over if you have the opportunity. So I think that wraps up the Rajasthan Royals innings, and I think that's probably the bulk of what we have to talk about on this particular show, because the RCB innings pretty much went along without incident, really. Aside from, the Fizz and Zakaria, who bowled pretty nicely, I think, pretty tight up top, and the Fizz took 2 wickets. Yeah. And a fantastic bit of fielding by the Fizz on the boundary. If you saw that, saving that 6.
Yeah. And the run out from Liam Parag, we finally found out what he's actually in the team for.
Gunner, misfield, the classic.
He's not in his team for his batting, that's for sure. He's definitely not in his team for his bowling.
In his team to give Liam Livingstone his bat. Maybe that's the problem with Liam Livingstone. Has Liam Livingstone given Liam Parag his bat back?
Could be, yeah.
That could be the problem. Chris Morris. Let's start with the opening power play, because they bowled Chris Morris in the power play again. Why are they doing that?
Don't know.
It's not working.
They don't really have. Well, they have other options, but they're trying to hold Mustafiz back, for example. Maybe Zakaria back a little bit. They both only bowled 3 overs. And I think that's probably the main reservation that I had about their purchase, is that it's quite hard to get 4 overs positive expectation output out of him. And we know with the bat, he's a very good pace hitter, but very mediocre against spin based on numbers that I look at anyway. People say he's an all-round package, but actually he's kind of like a part all-round package, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure this heat is doing him any favours at the moment.
Too old, can't hack it.
Well, I don't know, but yeah, he just looks a bit. Well, maybe he hasn't played that much, I don't think, over the last few months.
No, probably waiting for the IPL to start again, and obviously not in the South Africa team either. So still a little confused about that, but maybe it's these performances that they're focusing on rather
they
than
knew all along.
Yeah, they're geniuses. I mean, where do we go? I mean, RCB batted really well. KS Bharat came in. He did a really nice job. Hit some nice shots. A very nice reverse sweep.
He did what he needs to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It was sensible cricket.
Sort of spoke the other day about that sort of 130, 135 strike rate being potentially ceiling at this level, and I still probably say that's a reasonable assertion at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he did what was needed in the situation for sure.
And Glenn Maxwell picked up where he left off in the first half of the IPL, hitting. Well, not only the 1-6 today. It was mainly 4s, but he hit them hard. He hit them very, very hard, and finished the game quickly, which is what we wanted to see. Because, as I said, there's nothing worse than a procession where you just have to sit there and watch 20 overs of the ball being nudged around. But I think for me, in terms of the bowling for Rajasthan, I just don't understand why they. Well, I suppose I do understand why they don't pick Tabraiz Shamsi, because they don't have enough slots to fit in the overseas players they want to fit in. But if you've got to bowl Lomror for 2 overs and Tuatia for 3 overs, there's 2 things I think that you need to think about. One is you need an actual spinner in your team, especially if you're looking at what RCB did. I mean, the game was getting away from them. Chahal came on and really made the difference.
Yep.
And you might as well give Liam Livingstone a bowl.
Well, have they forgotten that he bowls? Oh, they must have forgotten.
They must have.
This is the second time, I think, in the UAE that they've used 7 bowlers, and he's not been one of them.
Yeah, I mean they brought on Liam Parag for the last ball of the game to end that. It just makes no sense, especially on some of the pitches as well, which we've seen. I mean, less so today because it was a reasonably decent pitch, but even then we saw that taking the pace off made it harder to score runs. That's what happened in the first innings, and some of the other pitches we've seen, it's been pretty much impossible to hit the ball anywhere. And he's he didn't bowl in those games either. I find it utterly bizarre from that point of view, and makes me think that if he's not going well and they're not using him to bowl, then I wouldn't be surprised if they drop him, maybe play Glenn Phillips in the next game.
If they do that, then they're stupid. That's all I'll say. I mean, like you talk about Shamsi as well, and this is the whole problem with Rajasthan, and it has been their whole problem with Rajasthan, is that they have too many good overseas players who are they can't all fit into the same team.
Yeah, but they need them.
They don't spend much on local players.
Yeah, that's it. It goes back again. The Doob. Nowhere to be seen, the Doob. When it goes back to that same thing again, doesn't it? The importance of having a strong pool of local talent, which is what's holding them back and not holding RCB back at all. Padikal, Chahal, Harshal Patel, Mohammed Siraj, even Shahbaz Ahmed now. He's proving useful. So, I mean, RCB looking good. You backing them for a final berth?
Well, I said they'd have 10 wins by the end of the group stage. So they need to win the last 3 for that. But
it's doable. It's doable.
We're still in the game. I'm trying to avoid getting my wallet out when we meet for drinks.
Yes, I look forward to it. I think, to be honest, as far as the game goes, that's all there is to it from my point of view. Unless you had anything you wanted to touch on finally before we move on to covering a few questions.
No, I think it was pretty comprehensive, wasn't it? Maxwell was bloody good again. And then this is the thing, like, people talk about Maxwell's inconsistency, and then he goes and plays 2 match-winning innings, like kind of back-to-back, and like that's what he does.
Yeah, well, he's put
him before you sign him.
Put the
right where he does nothing, but then he'll win you like 2 or 3 games. Yeah, and don't forget that 50 or 30 makes that look easy. And if he got out quick, De Villiers got out quick. That's a different chase.
Absolutely. Well, having De Villiers coming in at 5, it's a lovely safety net, isn't it?
Huge luxury, yeah.
Well, Maxwell has dispelled the spectre of the UAE last time out, so I think good going from him. So just trying to look on a few questions. Although to be honest, it feels like we've covered pretty much all of them. How's Harshal Patel on his way to break the purple cap record because he keeps bowling at the bowlers at the death? Why is Dan Christian playing? We don't know. So what's changed for Chahal and Maxi? I mean, we spoke a little bit about Maxwell, and it's just that his ability to just turn things around. That's just part of him, really. He is kind of boom or bust, isn't he, as a cricketer? But what about Chahal? Because he's struggled quite a lot lately, so much so that he actually lost his place in the Indian World Cup squad to Chahar. But he bowled pretty much back to like peak Chahal today, I thought.
I think again it's just those fine margins a lot of the time.
It's just T20 is such a variant sport, isn't it? Variant heavy sport.
Exactly that.
Yeah, it's like if you took a game of football, and we're going back to the football again, but you take a game of football and shorten that to half an hour, there's always a chance that someone's going to nick an unexpected result. Yeah,
absolutely. So, or tennis, for example, you have even a world ranked 100 player against Novak Djokovic would have like a 25% chance of winning the tiebreak.
Yeah.
But they won't have a 25% chance of winning the match. They won't even have a 2.5% chance of winning a 5-set match against Djokovic. So it's completely different.
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, who's your top 4 then, Dan? Because I mean, today was quite important for Rajasthan Royals to be getting to remain in the hunt, as we said, and could have been bad. I mean, if RCB had lost today, they'd have been dragged into the mire with the rest of them. But I think they're probably pretty safe now. One win will sort it out. But which of the others do you think are going to be sneaking in? I guess KKR, Mumbai Indians.
Top 3 done. They're through.
Yeah.
4th and 5th. Oh, that's a tough one. Heart definitely says Mumbai. But they just haven't done it. They haven't impressed me at all this tournament. I know before the tournament started, we were so bullish about them blitzing it. Before the actual IPL started, and then again when we went to the UAE, we were so strong on them, just like breezing through. They've been poor. They look confused with their selection. I think they should still do it, but they've made it very, very difficult for themselves. Well, KKR, at least they're not gonna die wondering, are they?
No, they're resurgent.
Yeah, And they're just full of intent. I love to see that. Apart from Morgan, he seems to have a free pass. And the fact that they've got a massively positive net run rate over Mumbai makes it really difficult for Mumbai, because Mumbai are going to have to win one more match than KKR are going to win to get to.
Yeah.
So if KKR win 2 out of their last 3, Mumbai are going to need to win 3. That's not a given. So heart says Mumbai, head says KKR.
I suppose what might complicate things for KKR is injuries. Dre Ross obviously didn't play because he hurt his hamstring. Lockie Ferguson hurt his hamstring in the game yesterday as well, and didn't look particularly free-moving when he was sent out to bat for no discernible reason. So perhaps that will allow Mumbai Indians to squeak through. And it's just, well, you can't write them off when you look at that team, can you? I said Ross and I spoke earlier when we went through those last 3 games, and I was saying basically Mumbai Indians' lineup, it's just a string of get out of jail free cards, really, when you've got people like Pandya and Pollard to see you over the line. So I mean, you can't write that off, can you? That side, but it's going to be interesting. Should be an exciting final few games, and the only one thing that we can be sure of, although they seem to have worked out that David Warner's no good, as Tushar says, Sunrisers sucked. So at least we know. At least we have some certainty for the last few games.
Hope they keep leaving Pandey and Jadav at the hotel as well, and then we're sorted.
Yes, I forgot about Punjab Kings. I suppose they're still there as well, aren't they? The comedy team.
They got them 3 out of 3, and then rely on that run rate. Don't see it.
Never know. KL Rahul will maybe turn himself into the intent machine.
He's going to have to if they're going to improve their run rate.
Okay. One last question then, Dan, before we wrap it up. That just popped up in the chat, and it's a question that makes me really looking forward actually to some of the podcasts we'll probably end up doing after the IPL wraps up and just ahead of the next one, when we look at the retentions and the mega auction. So RCB, who do they retain? Because it must be quite tough, because they've got quite a star-studded side.
Oh, who would I retain?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one. Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 3?
3, yeah.
Maxwell, Patel, and Chahal.
Yeah. You know what? I think I'd probably go along with that as well. But who do you think they actually will retain? Kohli, Siraj.
Kohli, De Villiers, and someone else.
Yeah. We don't have much. We don't have much respect, do we, for the brains behind the operations in these franchise things? But maybe they'll surprise us.
I do like the way RCB are strategizing, actually, but obviously I'm not retaining Kohli at 16.5 crore when his performance output is not. It's not equivalent of a 16.5 crore player.
Yeah.
And whenever we talk about this in the chat, people go, "Oh, well, marketing wise and branding, he's really, really good." Well, that's nice, because you can't reinvest that in your squad. It's not like football where you can reinvest all your marketing and branding money back into your team. Well, you can't do that in cricket, so it's pointless. And AB de Villiers, as good as he is, he's going to be 38 by the time the next IPL.
That's it, isn't it? It's you just don't know how long you're going to be able to carry that on for. Whereas you've got Maxwell for a bit longer. So I think that wraps everything up from our point of view from today's game and questions. So thank you all for coming along and listening, and for all of your questions. Just final messages as a reminder: please do like and subscribe, and follow us at the Cricket Pod, and follow Dan as well on Twitter at SAAdvantage. I think Ross and I will be back tomorrow. I don't know if you're around, Dan, for that, or whether.
No, I can't remember. I'll have to let you know.
Well, either way, we should be back tomorrow to cover. I think it's CSK Sunrisers. So top v bottom, go on CSK, and we'll catch you then. But goodbye for now.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.